Hey everyone, so it's Hearth and welcome back to my channel. So in today's video, we're going to be reacting to Witchcraft TikToks. So for any of you that have been on this channel for a while, you will likely know that WitchTok, and actually TikTok in general, is not really something I'm particularly interested in. I don't even have the app on my phone. I feel like such an odd one out because I'm like the only person that doesn't have TikTok on their phone. But it's not really something I've ever really considered being on or watching. But a lot of you guys really wanted to see me react to WitchTok, which is Witchcraft TikTok. So that is what we're going to be doing today. Now, just before we get into it, I do want to say that I don't own any of the footage that is going to be shown. The links to the videos will be down in the description box. And also, I never intend to be particularly negative towards the creators or the content that they're making. Instead, I'm just here to share a little bit of extra information on witchcraft for anyone that wants the TikToks to be bulked out a little. One of my biggest issues with TikTok is that the videos are required to be exceptionally short, and in a really short amount of time, you can't get that much information across. So I never want to say anything bad about the person or the content that's created. I merely want to shed light on whether it's accurate or not from the perspective of another practitioner. Okay, now that that's out of the way, I'm going to shuffle sideways so that I can stick the TikToks right over here, and let's get started.
Are you sure? Huh.
Oh. Admittedly, that one is so true. It's the, I really need a jar right now. Oh, I don't have any jars. I'm completely out of jars. It is something that I think a lot of people do use, is that they will reuse jars that they've already got, but especially with the audience that TikTok is kind of aimed at, which is a very kind of teenage audience. It's not very often that you can go up to your parents and go, hey, I need that jar for a spell jar, can I have it? You know, instead you have to kind of hoard jars kind of secretly. I remember I used to have to do this. So I can completely get behind that aspect of this TikTok.
I already knew that. Oh, thanks. Yay! Nice. That can't be already, can it?
This is really, really accurate, actually. I really like this girl so far. What's her name? Frankie Ann Wilkin. I really like her so far. She seems a lot more authentic than a lot of the TikTokers that I've seen in the witchcraft community so far, but obviously I haven't really spent much time here at all. But that is really true. A lot of the time when people think of the Mercury retrograde, they think, oh, it's just once every few years, it's fine. But when you actually realise that the Mercury retrograde is a recurring event that happens on a set date, you can actually go through your calendar and you can mark it in exactly when it's going to happen. And the Mercury retrograde happens so much more frequently than you might think. It happens multiple times a year. And I think a lot of people, when they hear the Mercury retrograde, they don't realize just how frequent it actually is. So I can fully get behind this. It's the realization of, wait, again? Seriously? I thought we only just got out of the last one.
Sage. Mom, can I borrow the car? Good evening. That explains the crows. Oh God.
Already, I do really, really like this person. I hope that I get to see a little bit more of them. And it appears that they've changed their TikTok name to Chaotic Witch Aunt. I don't really know how TikTok works. Did you notice? I feel like a grandma with this. Like, I'm just so out of touch. But that is really true, spiritual awakening. A lot of people think that a spiritual awakening is going to be all comfy and nice and everything is going to be perfect from now on, when actually, like, a spiritual awakening is usually like a slap around the face, and you get put through like a bunch of tests where you really have to grow as a person and grow spiritually to be better at the end of it. So I can fully get behind the immediate reaction to this. So it's not so much about the TikTok itself, but mainly just a little bit of a hazard in there. The issue I have is with the crystal water, and it's not with crystal water in general, it's with some versions of crystal water. So what some people will do is they will actually put the crystals in the water itself, which can be very bad for you, especially if you're using crystals that can leach heavy metals, toxins, or they can dissolve in the water. So some crystals like selenite and calcite, they can actually dissolve in the water, but things like malachite actually leach heavy metals into the water, which can be exceptionally dangerous if you drink them, especially if you drink it frequently. So if you are going to be making crystal water, I'd recommend making it with a bottle or a glass where the crystals are around it or inside an outside bowl. So you have a bowl with crystals in it, and then you have the glass inside that bowl, so the crystals are never in direct contact with the water. It's not something that I think a lot of people will mention, especially when you have such a short compilation time. You know, you really only have maybe about a minute maximum to get your information across. So please, if you're going to be making crystal elixirs or crystal water, please make sure that the crystals you're using are very clean. They're also safe to put in water, and if in doubt, put the crystals outside of the glass, because the energy will still pass into the water. It's just you won't have any of the hazard of any heavy metals or any minerals being deposited into that water. So that had actually a few really nice things in it. Some of those I will say I used to do myself. I used to wear talismans around school with me, but at my school we weren't technically allowed to wear jewellery. So if you do this, please take care. Obviously, make sure that you follow the school's guidelines. I would often tuck it inside my school shirt because we had a uniform. And if I did that, no one would know that I was wearing it. The sigils is actually a really cute one as well, especially if you want help with focus or study, memory, anything like that, to just kind of sketch a sigil into the start of your workbook. And if you don't want it to be super visible, you can do it in rubber, because it does leave a little bit of a trace behind if you do use a rubber to draw the sigil. And then you have the energy in your notebook, but it isn't necessarily visible. So if you do need to give your notebook in, it's not going to be a really weird symbol in the start of your book. It's instead going to be quite discreet, and unless you look at the page at the right angle, you're not going to notice that it's there at all. So that was a really cute one. I really like that. I will just add one thing to it, and that is that pendulums can change their mind. So if before you start every single reading, you ask the questions again, just to make sure that the pendulum hasn't changed its mind and altered the directions for its answers. And by doing this every time, you actually don't really need any kind of pendulum board. You definitely can own and use pendulum boards, but they aren't a requirement, especially if your pendulum really likes changing. They're great if you use a pendulum that really sticks to its directions, but if you have one that's a little bit all over the place and changes its personality and its mind on an almost daily basis, it could be worth just asking every day or every time you use it, which is a yes, which is a no, and then going from there, so that you don't have to keep making a board every single time, especially if your pendulum does keep changing its mind.
I think that Dionysus might be contacting me. Oh, why do you say that? I keep seeing him on my TikTok. Are you liking the videos that you see of him? Yeah? Then you're gonna see him on your algorithm because you liked the video. But the candle wax. What happened to your candle wax? It dripped. I don't know. That sounds kind of like Dionysus. Did you ask your pendulum? Hold on, I'll ask. It says no. What does that mean?
Okay, that's probably one of my favourite ones so far. The call out though, the call out. This is something that I see so often, it actually becomes really comical. is that people often think that seeing something really regularly makes it a sign, but they often see it on things that have algorithms, and so you are almost impacting what you're seeing. So I talk about this in my signs and omens video, about how a lot of people will see signs and omens and things that simply aren't there. And I think a lot of modern witches, especially if you've grown up with social media like a lot of teenagers now have, they often will interpret things that they see on social media as being a sign, when we have to remember that almost everything that happens on the internet is being observed in one way or another. So if you are seeing a bunch of TikToks, or for me, I use Instagram a lot, so if you're on Instagram and you're seeing a bunch of videos and you're watching that video all the way through, the algorithm will know you like that kind of video and it'll show it to you more often. So a lot of the time when people are looking for deities, they'll often misinterpret signs as being really significant, especially on the internet, when actually you're simply playing the algorithm a little bit, so you'll start seeing the things that you've interacted with the most. And even outside of the internet, a lot of people, if they're looking for a sign, they will attempt to interpret absolutely everything as a sign, even if it definitely isn't. So candle wax is a big one, flames are a big one. You'll often see animals being interpreted as signs associated with deities, and although they definitely can be associated with deities, if you're particularly looking for a sign, or you have a particular deity in mind that you are almost wanting to receive a sign from, you are way more likely going to start noticing things than if you were just to allow things to come through naturally. So I really, really like that one. That's probably my favorite TikTok I've seen so far, just because it's so true.
Here are some things I wish people had told me about when I was starting my practice. None of them are actually that important, they're just cool. You can clear a space with sound. Bells and chimes are the best, but this resonates with my soul. You can take anything that you like and make it a part of your craft. For me, that's Fleetwood Mac. Also, you don't have to buy a whole bunch of expensive crystals to cleanse your space. In fact, TJ Maxx sells these little bad boys for $12. Go get you one. If you read these bad boys, it is like 50% about what the meanings are and mostly about what your intuition says. No one told me that. Most importantly, nobody can tell you how to do your craft. It is 100% based on your intuition and your relationship with your spirit guides.
Yeah, fully agree with a lot of that. A lot of people will go into the craft with a lot of misinformation. Maybe that is brought in from movies and TV shows. Maybe that's misinformation from a book or from a person that you've been talking to. A lot of people will go in thinking that you have to own a bunch of items, not just crystals, but a bunch of stuff. And you really don't. We have to think the craft has been used for tens of thousands of years. For as long as humans have been documenting their existence, we've been seeing patterns of magical work or work that is designed to bring a physical change that is done by working with energies and spirits or deities, whatever they were referred to as. And a lot of the time they didn't have lots of items. They were using whatever they had around them. And I think a lot of beginners, especially beginners nowadays, feel the need to jump in and buy 50 different crystals and 100 different items when you really, really don't need anything. And to start off with, it's much better to start with energy work and build up an understanding of your own spirituality, your own energy, and the way you can use it to manifest physical change in your life. A lot of items, especially when you're new, they often clog up the process of learning. And instead of learning how to direct energy for yourself, you instead utilize tools to make it easier, when actually you might actually be hindering yourself by cutting corners at the very start. Especially things like cleansing. A lot of people think that you need to use sage. This definitely isn't true. There is a lot of issue with sage currently. And you can use lots and lots of other techniques. There's hundreds of different techniques for cleansing a space that a lot of people don't realize. And especially when it comes to divination, a lot of people do genuinely believe that you just read the guidebook and you just memorize it and then you can read tarot. When actually one of the easiest ways to read tarot is to allow yourself to tap into your subconscious psychic energy and then you can intuitively read. And by intuitively reading, you do get a much deeper understanding of the things that are happening within your life, rather than attempting to match up the word for word book reading that you've got out of your little textbook to your life, which is what a lot of people do tend to do. They'll read the book and they'll go, I can sort of make that fit. Whereas what's best to do is to learn to intuitively read the cards, to pick out which aspects of the imagery are very significant to you, which things are screaming at you from that card, and then creating an understanding through those cards that can really help you understand what is going on within your life or the life of someone else. So there is a lot there, and I think that is some really good advice, is that your craft is your craft. Your witchcraft is yours. You will find a lot of people, especially on the internet, that take the my way or the highway approach, when actually everyone is going to be slightly different. Everyone is going to use different things. Some people might use music, some people might use dancing, others might really enjoy meditation, some might enjoy coven work, others might like solitary. Everyone is going to practice different. So don't compare your magical practice to anyone else's, because it is yours and yours alone.
No, why would you squash the spider? It could have been one of your deities or ancestors letting you know that you're protected.
Wait, so you picked the flower? You just picked it up and took it? Oh my God. I know you did not just say she was more beautiful than Aphrodite.
You have a mirror uncovered by your bed? No wonder you're having nightmares.
This is not satanic, okay? See, here. You can come back to me when you fix your vibes. No, get away from me, get away.
Wait, you said he's a what? A Gemini? Oh no, you're not going on another date with him.
You see this? Yeah, put that underneath your pillow because you decided to have a mirror uncovered by your bed. Mercury is in retrograde again.
Oh my gosh, look at this stick. It's a nice stick. No, don't get me wrong. Therapy's great, but you could also use the crystals in the herbal blend I gave you. I mean, those will work pretty well too.
That one, I'm not so keen on that one. Some things I definitely agree with. Some of them I don't agree with so much. So the idea of spiders, I would say don't kill spiders. I'll admit I do occasionally when they really scare me. But they do a job, but they aren't always a sign of a deity or a spirit guide or anything else. Spiders are just spiders. Yes, sometimes they might be a sign of something or other, but by themselves, a spider exists in its own right. It doesn't exist in order to be a sign or an omen or a indication from a deity or anything like that. A spider is a spider. When it comes to things like mirrors being uncovered, this really depends practitioner to practitioner. There are certain cultures that definitely hold a lot more significance with mirrors being uncovered, and some practitioners will actively choose to keep mirrors uncovered because of their magical practice. Other people might cover it up. If you have nightmares, it definitely isn't entirely connected to the fact that you have a mirror uncovered. For instance, I have a mirror that's uncovered in my bedroom. I don't think I've ever had a nightmare while that mirror has been uncovered. A lot of the time, if you do have nightmares, it's because of an internal struggle that's happening within your subconscious that you might need to resolve. That might be because of stress that's currently happening in your life, decisions that you are putting off, things along that similar vein. Some people are also more prone to nightmares because of medication that they're on and the sleeping environment that they exist in. It's not solely based on having a mirror uncovered. The one thing in that, though, that I really don't like is them saying, yeah, therapy is good, but the herbs and the crystals that I gave you, that'll work just as good. Please, I'm begging you, please, never replace medical or psychological help for witchcraft. That isn't what it's all about. Yes, you can definitely work alongside your psychological and your medical treatment with witchcraft. People definitely do that, and it can be a wonderful assistant. But please don't replace your medical treatment or medical advice with magical practice. Because although magic can definitely assist medicine and psychology, it isn't designed to replace it. So please don't throw out your medication and start using witchcraft instead. Use witchcraft alongside the medication that you have been prescribed to take. And if you feel as though you do need the assistance of therapy, please feel free to go and get that. And then work alongside it with your magical practice. but I do definitely agree with the idea of a pentagram. Now, I have a pentagram, you can't really see it, it's just up here. I also wear one on on a daily basis, actually, scrap that, I do wear it every day. I have lots of pentacles and pentagrams around my house, and it definitely isn't a demonic symbol. It has almost been tailored in the media to become a symbol of demonic energy and Satanism and all that kind of stuff, when it definitely isn't. So if you see a pentagram or you see someone wearing a pentacle, definitely don't just assume that they are some kind of satanic in nature, because that is a completely different thing that also isn't what you probably think it is.
Karen, I'm telling you, she worships the devil. We need the church. Where are my bay leaves? I know I put them somewhere. I swear the Fae.
I like that one. I like that. I don't really have much experience with the idea that Christian parents disliking it, but that the bay leaves disappearing, that is something that I have often found. I often have one item in every piece of spell work that I'm doing that I just cannot find. I can't find it anywhere. It could just disappear into thin air, and then the moment I no longer need it, poof, it reappears again, just like magic. And yeah, a lot of people do blame it on the Fae, especially if they do work closely with the Fae. You'll often find that things do disappear. I often have a lot of shiny things disappear. That is something I've had. Books also have a tendency to just disappear and then turn up in really random places at the least expected time.
Dang, you bought a fake crystal. No worries. If you bought a fake crystal, it is not the end of the world. Here's what you could do with your fake crystals. Use them for meditation. The color correspondences can help you with meditation. Charge them with a different energy. You could take that crystal and charge it with positivity. There's your positivity stone right there, see? Don't be bummed when you find out that your crystal isn't what you thought it was. You could always repurpose it for something else. Put it in a grid. Make it a protection stone. The possibilities are endless.
I absolutely love that. It is so, so true. You'd be surprised how many people, when they find out that a stone is synthetic, or they find out that it is fake, so it could be dyed glass or it could be a dyed agate of some kind, they will just not use them, or they will straight up refuse to use them. And I can't understand it. Repurpose your stones, people. You can definitely do it. Anything you can put energy into. So even if that stone is fake and it doesn't have its own vibrational energy that matches what you wanted, you really can do exactly what is said here and program it to have that energy. If you want to use it once you've programmed it around other crystals, you definitely can. As I said there, add them into a grid. Let the other crystals amplify the energy that you've put into this fake stone and allow it to do its work. Not everything has to be super perfect or real or really professional looking. A lot of people, especially when they're starting, they will often purchase fake stones completely accidentally. And when this happens, you can definitely find ways to use it with your practice. Don't just get rid of it. It can also be a really good tool to carry around with you because you can just cleanse out the energy that you've put in it. You then have a constantly changing amulet or talisman that you can program to be anything, and you can keep wearing the same stone. So instead of having to constantly change out and buy new stones, you can use that one stone, whether that be glass or quartz that's been dyed, and you can reprogram it as many times as you need for it to work to your advantage. So definitely don't just throw stones out or refuse to use them if you find out that they're fake. There's definitely a lot that you can do with it. Use your imagination. It's all about that. Release your creativity. Be imaginative with it. There's so much that you can do with them.
Okay, Mom, let me get this straight. Yeah? So you can have clairvoyance. Yes. You raised us to believe in and be nice to entities and energies. Well, yeah, of course. Perfectly okay with Rachel going into buildings that have bad energy and messing with spirits. Well, yeah, of course. Crystal, summoning, spells, all of that is okay. Yeah, absolutely, go for it. So, tarot decks and Ouija boards? If you touch one of those, I will personally end you.
It's funny that a lot of people do have that stigma around them, and you often find it is people like this that often do carry that stigma. You often find it's either exceptionally religious people, usually those that belong to one of the Abrahamic faiths, that almost have it programmed into the religion to dislike certain or all aspects of witchcraft, depending on the religion and the extent to which you follow it. And then you also find that it's often very open-minded people that are still very aware and almost hyper vigilant around tarot cards, around oracle cards, around Ouija boards, when really these spirits and entities are around us all of the time. These items are merely there to help us either connect with our subconscious or, in some cases, to connect with spiritual beings. You still have to take care with all things, whether they be crystals and candles, whether they be spells, rituals, summonings, evokings, but also divination. It all comes under the category of please be careful, always be aware of your surroundings, always be aware of what you're dealing with, always try to have protections up. But I do find that a lot of people have a lot of stigma and negativity surrounding tarot cards and especially Ouija boards. A lot of people, even within the witchcraft community, really severely dislike a Ouija board. But you'll often find that if you change the Ouija board name to angel board, people are suddenly fine with it. You find that a lot of the time the stigma is around the name and the idea of the item rather than the magical tool in itself. That's another really good one. I think a lot of people do feel as though they have to go to a very specialist store, especially when they're getting started. You know, they will spend a lot of money in a very fancy shop. And don't get me wrong, I love me a bit of Glastonbury shopping. You know me if you've been on this channel for a while. I live in England and I do go to Glastonbury quite a lot and I really, really love it down there. And when I am down there, I do support a lot of the shops by buying things from them. But if you are getting started or you are on a budget, please don't feel as though you have to go to a specialist shop and spend a lot of money on witchcraft items, because you really, really don't. You can find a lot. In the UK, you can go to TK Maxx or Home Sense. I think they're the same as TJ Maxx in America, although I'm not entirely sure. Please don't quote me on that. They sell such a variety of items, everything from large cloths, usually in the dog section, weirdly. You often get a lot of these large cloths that you can use as altar cloths. In the cookery section, you can find pestle and mortars, you can find Himalayan salt, standard salt, you can find a lot of ground and standard herbs. You can also find a lot of bowls that you can use for offerings. You can often find essential oils. Sometimes you'll even find big containers of base oils. If you go to your supermarket, you can find herbs, you can find oils. You can get so much from just your local shops. You definitely don't have to spend a fortune, especially if you're getting started in witchcraft. So that is that video completely done. I'm actually surprisingly pleasantly surprised. Though what I will say is that I suspect that the compilations that are made up for YouTube are the compilations that have the best information in them. So I am already getting quite a biased collection of videos because I don't think much of the really bad information is going to be put into a YouTube compilation. I could be wrong, but there we go. I actually kind of really enjoyed that. It doesn't make me want to download TikTok. Not at all. I probably never will download TikTok. It's just not, it's not my thing. I will stick to YouTube. I'm a Tumblr person. Like, my teenage years were spent on Tumblr. That is where I'm at with that. And I kind of miss Witchcraft Tumblr, so I still hold a little flame for Witchcraft Tumblr, but apparently TikTok has replaced it. It's really interesting how things change. But I actually did really, really like some of these. I definitely didn't agree with all of them. And please note that just because I, as a practitioner, don't agree with something, doesn't mean that I am saying it's not right at all. These are solely my personal opinions on the matter. And a lot of these I absolutely loved, especially the one about deity signs. Really, really appreciate that one. I think a lot of people will be called out with that one because I see that happening all of the time, especially online and on forums and that kind of thing. So yeah, I actually really quite like that video. I didn't put all of the compilation video in my video, so if you do want to see the full compilation video, the link will be down in the description box. I actually really enjoyed that, and I kind of feel bad that I actually kind of enjoyed that. If you did enjoy this video, feel free to give it a like. It really, really means so much to me. If you would like to see more content like this in the future, please let me know. I would absolutely love to do more compilation type reaction videos in the future, so feel free to let me know any that you would like me to react to down in the comment section. If you do have any questions, comments, concerns, video ideas, or just want to chit chat with the community, feel free to post a comment down in the comment section. There is also a link to the Discord server in the description box where you can chat to a lot of other magical practitioners if TikTok is your thing, or if TikTok isn't your thing and you would like to find another place where you can chat to other creators. So if you do enjoy the magical content on this channel or in this video, feel free to hit subscribe. I do try my best to post magical content every single week. I hope you're having a marvellous magical day. I hope you're all staying safe. Thank you very much to my Patreons. You guys are absolutely awesome. Your names will be on the end screen in just a moment, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!